Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be exploring Wabi Sabi.
Oh, nice.
You know, it's way more than just a design trend.
Right.
You see it everywhere these days, but it's a whole philosophy with roots that go way back.
That's right.
We're going to be using this book,
Okay.
Wabi Sabi, The Wisdom of Imperfection, to guide us today.
Sounds good.
And I think you're going to be really surprised how relevant this ancient way of thinking is to our modern lives.
You think so too?
I mean, this book blew my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Just in terms of how much it, makes you rethink how we look at things.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because when you first hear the term Wabi Sabi, you kind of think like, oh, yeah, I've seen those, Instagram posts with the, the minimalist interiors and the
Right.
Japanese pottery.
Exactly.
But it's so much deeper than that.
It really is, yeah.
It really is.
It's fascinating how it really flips our ideas of beauty on their head.
Yeah.
Instead of constantly chasing after something that's perfect, which honestly, it's never going to happen.
Right.
It encourages us to see the beauty in those flaws, the things that make something really unique.
Yeah, instead of being bummed out that your favorite mug has a little chip in it.
Yeah.
You start to see that as part of its story.
Exactly. Yeah.
Its history, all the times you've used it. And the book actually starts off with this great example of a prized teacup,
Okay.
but not some shiny, brand new one.
Right.
This one's been repaired with gold.
Oh, wow.
So it's showing its age and its journey.
I love that.
And that's Wabi Sabi.
Yeah.
But what I'm kind of curious about is how did this whole concept even come about?
Well, Wabi Sabi is, it's really deeply connected to Zen Buddhism.
Okay.
I think of it as applying these core Buddhist teachings, but to everyday life.
Gotcha.
And the way that we look at the world.
Okay, so we're talking about things like impermanence and suffering.
Yes.
And emptiness, right?
Yeah.
Those are pretty big concepts, though.
Yeah, they can be a little heavy.
Yeah.
How does that translate into,
Right.
appreciating a chipped teacup?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's all about understanding that. Nothing stays the same.
Okay.
Everything is constantly changing, and that's okay.
Okay.
So, that chipped teacup, it was never going to stay perfect forever.
Right.
And the suffering, like you mentioned, that often comes from us wanting things to be different than they actually are.
Okay.
From clinging to that idea of perfection.
Right.
And then emptiness, in this context at least.
Yeah.
It's about seeing things without all of our judgments,
Right.
without all of our preconceptions, just accepting them as they are.
I like that.
Yeah.
So it's instead of getting annoyed when your phone gets a little scratch on it.
You can kind of take a deep breath and be like, well, it was going to happen at some point. It's still a great phone.
Exactly. Yeah. And you might even find that the scratch gives a little more character.
Right.
There's a story in this book actually
Okay.
about a monk who would, after sweeping, he would always intentionally leave one leaf on the path.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the point of that?
It's just as this reminder
Oh, I see.
that perfect completion is just an illusion.
It's so humbling.
It is. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I kind of love that.
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about Wabi Sabi and these objects forever.
Right.
But how does it apply to something more complex, like our relationships with people?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, just like with that chipped teacup.
Okay.
It's about accepting people for who they are. Imperfections and all.
Right.
We all have our flaws, our quirks.
Totally.
Our baggage,
Ugh.
let's be honest. But instead of, constantly trying to change people.
Right.
Or wishing that they were different, Wabi Sabi encourages us to see the beauty in those imperfections.
Okay.
To appreciate the unique tapestry of their experiences.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
But that's definitely easier said than done.
Oh, absolutely.
We all have those moments where we're just annoyed with our partner.
Or friends or family, whoever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How do we actually put that into practice?
I think it's all about perspective.
Okay.
What if, instead of focusing on the things that just, irritate you,
Right.
you try to see them as part of what makes that person them?
Yeah.
Maybe that quirk that, drives you crazy
Right.
is also what makes them so funny
Okay.
or creative or compassionate.
I like that.
Yeah.
So it's choosing to focus on that gold that's repairing the cracks rather than the cracks themselves.
But how do we actually do that?
Well, it's a practice like anything else. It starts with awareness.
Okay.
Noticing those moments when you're being judgmental or critical and just kind of gently shifting your focus.
Okay.
The book talks about like cultivating mindfulness, being present in the moment.
Right.
And appreciating things as they are without always trying to change them.
So maybe when you're like feeling annoyed with your partner for leaving their socks on the floor again,
Right.
you take a breath and try to see it not as like a personal attack, but just as like an expression of their humanness.
Exactly.
Their imperfection.
Yeah, and maybe you even find some humor in it.
Right.
Yeah. We all have our little quirks.
Totally.
Yeah.
It all ties into those three core principles of Wabi Sabi.
Yes.
That the book outlines, right?
It does, yeah.
Nothing is perfect, nothing is finished, and nothing lasts forever.
That's right.
They're big.
Yeah.
What are those, like, how do those actually play out,
Well, I think these principles are just, like, they remind us to let go of the need for control.
Okay.
For permanence,
Yeah.
for things to always be a certain way.
Right.
They encourage us to embrace change, impermanence, imperfection.
Yeah.
And when we do that,
right,
we open ourselves up to, I think, like a deeper, more authentic experience of life.
I love that.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we're giving ourselves permission to relax.
Like so.
To stop trying so hard to make everything perfect.
Yeah.
And just enjoy the ride,
And I think that's a more enjoyable way to live.
I agree.
Don't you think?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But, okay, so we've talked about Wabi Sabi in this, like, philosophical sense.
Right.
But how does that translate into something tangible? Like the way we decorate our homes, the art that we appreciate, the clothes we wear,
That's where the aesthetics of Wabi Sabi come in.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to be exploring next.
Awesome. I'm excited.
In part 2 of our deep dive.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Wabi Sabi.
Part 2.
So we've talked about, like, the philosophy behind it, this whole idea of finding beauty in imperfection and accepting that things are always changing.
Yeah, yeah.
But now I'm really curious to see how those ideas translate into like something visual,
right?
Like art and design.
Yeah, that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, tell me more.
Because you see, Wabi Sabi, it's not just a set of principles.
Right.
It's this whole aesthetic sensibility. That's really deeply ingrained in Japanese culture.
I see.
And it shows up in everything.
Oh, wow.
From like traditional tea ceremonies to like flower arranging to the architecture of their homes.
That's amazing.
It really is.
So it's not just about like liking a certain style.
Right.
It's a way of seeing
and
experiencing the world.
It really is, yeah.
That's so cool.
It is.
Earlier we were talking about that chipped teacup and how in a Wabi Sabi mindset, you start to like appreciate that chip as part of its story. Is that kind of what we're talking about here?
Yes, absolutely. It's about seeing the beauty in those marks of time and the wear and tear. That tells a story, of use and experience.
Okay, so instead of trying to make everything look like brand new and perfect.
And perfect.
We're embracing those little imperfections.
Exactly, yeah.
That's so cool.
It is.
The book actually gives some really good examples
Oh,
of how this plays out
yeah.
in different Japanese art forms.
Okay.
So we've talked about kintsugi a little bit.
The art of repairing pottery.
Yeah, with gold.
With gold, yeah.
But there's so much more.
There is. There's a whole world.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive in.
Yeah.
Kintsugi is such a powerful, like, visual representation of Wabi Sabi.
It is, yeah.
It's like you're taking something that's broken and making it even more beautiful by highlighting those cracks.
Exactly.
It's not just, like, covering them up.
No, it's embracing them.
Yeah, it's embracing them.
And it's not just about the aesthetics either.
Okay, what else?
It's a metaphor for how we can approach our own brokenness.
Yeah.
Our own imperfections.
I like that.
Instead of hiding them, we can embrace them.
Right.
We can mend them and even find beauty in them.
That's such a powerful message. I love that.
Yeah, it is powerful.
It makes me think about how in Western culture, we often try to like erase
those imperfections.
Yeah, those imperfections, whether it's through, airbrushing photos or getting Botox.
Or buying the newest, shiniest things.
Yeah. But Wabi Sabi's saying, hey, those wrinkles, those scars, those imperfections, they're part of what makes you you.
They tell a story, don't they?
Yeah.
They tell a story of a life lived, of
Yeah.
challenges that you've overcome, of wisdom that you've gained.
I love that.
Yeah.
The book also talks about this concept of fukinsei,
Ah, yes.
which embraces like asymmetry.
Asymmetry, yeah.
And irregularity.
Irregularity, exactly.
What is that all about?
Well, fukinsei is, it's all about letting go of that need for perfect balance and symmetry.
Okay.
It's about finding beauty in, the unexpected, in the things that are a little bit off kilter.
I see.
It
makes me think about like the Anokshta circle.
Oh, yeah.
How it's never perfectly round.
Right, never fully closed.
Yeah.
It's like a visual representation of the incompleteness of all things.
Right.
And the fact that nothing is ever truly finished.
And there's something like really beautiful about that, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like this reminder that there's always room for growth.
Okay.
For evolution, for, the unexpected.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we were to walk into a room that was designed with these Wabi Sabi principles in mind, what would we see?
Well, first of all, you probably wouldn't see a lot of clutter.
Okay.
Because Wabi Sabi is all about simplicity.
Okay.
Paring things down to the essentials.
So no overflowing bookshelves?
Probably not.
Or like piles of knickknacks?
Right. You might see a few carefully chosen objects.
Okay.
Each with its own story to tell.
I like that. Very intentional.
Very intentional, yeah.
What about the colors and the textures?
Well, you'd probably see a lot of natural materials like wood, stone, clay.
Okay.
And the colors would be pretty muted, earthy tones.
Okay.
With an emphasis on, the beauty of natural patina.
Okay.
And aging.
So nothing too, like, flashy or artificial looking?
Exactly.
Okay, what about the furniture?
The furniture would probably be pretty simple and functional.
Okay.
With clean lines. And an emphasis on craftsmanship.
Gotcha.
You might see pieces that have been repaired.
Okay.
Or repurposed.
Oh, cool.
Showing the marks of time and use.
It sounds like a very calming and inviting space.
It is. Wabi Sabi spaces are designed to promote a sense of peace.
Okay.
And tranquility. A connection to nature.
Right.
And the simple things in life.
It's like creating a sanctuary.
Exactly.
From the busyness of the outside world.
Yeah, a place where you can slow down, breathe, just be.
I love that.
Yeah.
The book also talks about incorporating these organic textures into a Wabi Sabi space.
Yeah, appealing to all of our senses, not just our sight.
Oh, okay.
What
does that mean?
It's about incorporating things that are rough, things that are uneven.
Okay.
Things that have a tactile quality.
So like a woven rug.
Yeah.
With a nubby texture.
Exactly.
Or a piece of driftwood.
Or a piece of driftwood, yeah.
With its like weathered surface.
Yeah, those kinds of textures add a sense of depth.
Okay.
And interest to a space. They invite us to like touch and explore.
Right, and they remind us that perfection isn't always the goal.
Right, exactly.
All this talk about Wabi Sabi aesthetics makes me wonder if it's something that's only like accessible to people who have a certain taste or a lot of money to spend on these like unique pieces.
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
Wabi is about appreciating the beauty in the everyday, in the things that are already around us.
I see.
So
you don't need to go out and buy a bunch of expensive antiques.
No.
Or hire some fancy interior designer.
Not at all.
To create a Wabi Sabi space.
It's about looking at what you already have with new eyes.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
So maybe that, like, old wooden bowl that's been passed down through your family or that chipped teacup that you were about to throw away could actually be perfect examples of Wabi Sabi.
Absolutely. It's about seeing the beauty in the humble.
Okay.
The imperfect.
Yeah.
The things that tell a story.
The book has this great quote.
Oh, yeah.
About how Wabi Sabi objects are not so much things as they are moments in time.
I love that quote.
Yeah.
It really speaks to that impermanence of all things.
Right.
To the fact that everything is constantly changing and evolving.
And it reminds us to, like, appreciate those moments, those objects, those experiences for what they are without trying to, like, hold on to them too tightly.
Exactly. Because the beauty's often in the letting go.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
It is.
Okay, so if we were to like sum up the key elements of Wabi Sabi aesthetics, what would they be?
I'd say simplicity.
Okay.
Natural materials, muted colors,
Okay.
organic textures, asymmetry, irregularity, right, and a deep appreciation for the beauty of age and imperfection.
It sounds like a recipe for a truly, like, beautiful and soulful space.
It is, and it's a space that anyone can create,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
regardless of their budget or their
Yeah.
design expertise.
That's important.
It is.
It's just amazing how this concept of Wabi Sabi
Mm.
can be applied to so many different aspects of life.
It can.
From like our personal philosophy
Yeah.
to the way we decorate our homes
Mhm.
to the art we appreciate.
Yeah.
It's like a thread that connects us
That is.
to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
It's a reminder that beauty can be found in the most unexpected places,
Yeah,
and that often those imperfections
Right.
are what make something truly unique
totally.
and special.
I'm really excited to move on to the next part of our deep dive
Me too.
and explore how we can like actually start incorporating
Yeah.
these Wabi Sabi principles into our daily lives.
Because it's one thing to admire it,
Right.
but it's another thing to actually live it.
Let's do it. Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into Wabi Sabi.
Yeah.
We've talked about like the philosophy, the aesthetics,
Right.
but now like the big question is how do we actually live this way?
Right. Yeah.
How do we actually bring Wabi Sabi into our daily lives?
It's one thing to appreciate, a beautiful Wabi Sabi tea bowl
Right.
or a Zen garden, but how do we apply these principles to like our
Yes.
work, our relationships, the way we approach challenges,
Totally.
That's where the rubber meets the road, right?
And that's what I'm struggling with, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
it's easy to get swept up in the beauty of it all.
Right.
But how do we move beyond just appreciating the concept to actually embodying it?
Yeah, the book offers some really practical advice on this.
Okay.
One of the key ideas is that imperfection is actually a path to excellence.
Oh.
It challenges that idea that we always have to strive for perfection
Right.
in order to be successful or happy.
Yeah, I was just talking to a friend about this the other
Yeah.
day, and she's such a perfectionist.
Oh, wow.
And it's causing her so much stress.
Yeah.
Like, she's always worried about making mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like paralyzing her.
Yeah. I mean, that's so common these days,
All right.
especially in our culture where everything has to be like perfect and Instagram worthy.
Totally. But Wabi Sabi is like offering this different perspective.
Exactly.
Right.
It is, yeah.
It's like saying those imperfections, those mistakes, those moments when things don't go according to plan,
Yeah.
those are actually opportunities for growth
Exactly, yeah.
and learning.
It's like the Japanese art of kintsugi.
Right.
Instead of trying to hide the cracks, we're highlighting them, using gold to make them even more beautiful.
I love that metaphor. It's so good.
It is a good one.
It's like saying, hey, I've been broken,
Yeah.
I've been through some tough times,
Mm-hmm.
but those experiences have actually made me stronger and more resilient.
And that resilience, that ability to bounce back from adversity, that's such an important part of living a Wabi Sabi life.
Right. It's like we're giving ourselves permission to be human.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
To make mistakes, to not have all the answers.
Yeah, and in doing so, we're actually opening ourselves up to like a more authentic and fulfilling experience.
Totally. The book talks about this concept of the
Okay.
broken bucket. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes. The farmer with the cracked bucket
Yeah.
uses it to water his flowers.
Yes.
And because of that crack, the flowers along the path get water.
Right. And it creates this unexpected beauty.
Exactly.
It's such a good story.
It is. It's a good one.
It's like a reminder that our flaws, the things that we often try to hide or fix, can actually be sources of like strength
Yeah.
and creativity.
It's about like, what if that thing that you perceive as a weakness
Right.
is actually what makes you unique and special?
I love that. It's about embracing our whole selves.
Yeah.
Imperfections and all.
Exactly.
I think a lot of us struggle with letting go
Mm-hmm.
of that need for control,
Yeah.
you know,
It's very human.
for things to always be a certain way.
It is. It's a very human tendency.
But Wabi Sabi encourages us to surrender to the present moment,
Right.
to accept things as they are, even when they're not perfect.
It's about recognizing that change is inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing lasts forever.
Right, and that can be a really scary thought for some people.
It can. It can.
Yeah.
But it can also be incredibly liberating.
Yes, because when we let go of that need for control,
Yeah.
we open ourselves up to like new possibilities,
Exactly.
to unexpected beauty, to a
Yeah.
deeper appreciation for the simple things.
And that's what Wabi Sabi is all about.
Totally. You know, the book also talks about the importance of creating space in our lives,
Yes.
both like physically and mentally.
Right. It's about decluttering,
Okay.
letting go of the things that are weighing us down,
Mm.
both literally and figuratively.
So we're talking about physical clutter,
Yes.
like too many clothes or books or...
Yes, but also like mental and emotional clutter,
No.
like
Oh,
worries and grudges,
right.
negative thoughts that we tend to hold on to.
I think a lot of us have a hard time letting go of those things.
It can be challenging, but the book offers some really good tips,
Okay.
like putting those items you're unsure about in a doubting box
Oh, okay.
and then seeing if you miss them after a few months.
It's like a trial separation for your belongings.
Exactly. And often we find that we don't miss those things as much as we thought we would.
That's so true. It's like that saying, you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Right.
But sometimes you're like, oh, I'm better off without this.
Exactly. And, once we start to declutter our physical space, it can have a ripple effect on our mental and emotional state as well.
Totally. It's like cleaning out those cobwebs in our minds, making room for like new ideas and a greater sense of peace.
The book also emphasizes the importance of creating space in our schedules as well.
Oh.
Yeah, encouraging us to say no to commitments that drain us,
Right.
to set boundaries, to prioritize the things that truly matter.
So it's about being intentional with our time,
Exactly.
our energy,
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that we're spending them on things that like nourish us,
Yeah.
bring us joy.
And sometimes creating space means simply doing nothing,
Okay.
taking a break from the constant doing and striving and just allowing ourselves to be.
It's like giving ourselves permission to rest.
Exactly.
To recharge.
Because when we're well rested and rejuvenated, we're better able to show up for ourselves and for the people that we care about.
You know, this whole conversation is making me realize that living a wabi-sabi life is really about mindfulness.
It is.
You know,
it is.
It's about paying attention to the present moment, to the beauty that exists in the everyday, in the imperfect.
And it's about cultivating a sense of gratitude for what we have, for the simple things, for the journey itself, even with its bumps and detours.
It's about finding that stillness within ourselves, even amidst all the chaos of the world around us.
Because that's where the true beauty lies.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive into wabi-sabi, I hope you found these insights as inspiring and thought-provoking as I have.
Me too.
It's really been a journey of discovery.
Yeah, it is.
Of exploring this philosophy that challenges our conventional notions of beauty and success.
It really does.
So as you go about your day today, remember to slow down, appreciate those moments of imperfection, find beauty in the unexpected.
Embrace the cracks, the wrinkles, the things that are a little off-kilter.
Yeah.
Because in those imperfections, you might just discover a whole new world of beauty and meaning.
And that's the true essence of wabi-sabi.
It is.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time.